Hello and welcome to 35 Vinute Movies, a Vin Diesel podcast. This is the podcast where we're talking all things Vin Diesel. We're ranking and reviewing every single movie he's ever been in. And you've come to us on the last proper episode. I'm Cameron.
Damn.
And as always, I'm joined by Vin Diesel's number one fan, Awais. How is it going today?
It's going good, but I mean, am I the number one fan? You're the one rocking the F9 merch, so maybe not.
I had to take a trip down to Georgia Asda. You know, that's where you get the high quality clothing. I had to get some Fast 9 Fast Saga, as you can see. Oh, got the wrong one. There you go.
I know we're so
Fast
close
9
now.
Fast
It's
Saga.
so exciting.
Yeah, not long for you, not long for me. It's very exciting. I can't wait
know,
to see this in
I know.
IMAX. It's great. I've been
buzzing.
buying loads of Fast merch over the last couple of weeks, over the last couple of days. I don't know if I showed you. It came. I don't know if I showed you, but it came finally, and it's a lot bigger than I expected it to be.
Ooh.
But I bought a Lego Dom's charger
That's it.
that I plan to build very soon, and I hope to have it sitting right there when we do the Fast 9 review, which I think will be perfect. But I cannot wait to build this. And like, look how big that wheel is. Fucking massive. Like that's a big
huge,
wheel.
actually.
Like, because I was expecting it to be quite wee, but like, Jesus Christ, this is gonna be.
You're taking it with you to the IMAX screening, right? You're just going to clutch onto it tightly as John Cena and Vin Diesel are charging through the pubic triangle.
Yep, exactly. The pubic triangle. Wait, what?
In Edinburgh. That's the clip that released yesterday. So they released a clip from Fast 9, which is, it shows them in Edinburgh. So the sort of bit that they're in is known as the pubic triangle because it's it's all where all the strip clubs are.
Yeah, all the strip clubs. I was going to say they are driving past all the strip clubs in Edinburgh. Of course, Fast 9 chooses this to film at the strip clubs in Edinburgh. Let's move on to our first film of the day. It's two films technically. In one, we're talking about Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, and they came out in 2018 and 2019. We were going to do an Avengers special and talk about them all in one go, but we thought for timing and to try and get a Fast 9 review out as soon as Fast 9 comes out, we thought, why don't we'll just leave it and we'll just do them all in one. So yeah, the biggest films ever made. I'm going to ask you to tell me what the plot is for these. Like, I don't know what the plot is for these films.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, anyone doesn't know what the plot is. Basically, the mad Titan Thanos that they've sort of been building up to since the first Avengers film, he's finally ready to take action. He's finally getting out of his chair, and he's going after the Infinity Stones. He basically has this plan to cleanse 50% of the population. He needs all 6 Infinity Stones to do that. And basically the Avengers, the Guardians, they're all coming together to stop him and save not just Earth but the galaxy. And however, in Infinity War they sadly don't manage to stop him. And so Endgame is them then going back in time to beat him and bring everyone back, pretty much.
What do you think about these films? Because I mean, they are like completely iconic. I think at this point, we talked about them for a very long time. I think, but as a film overall, what do you think?
I mean, I think they're fantastic. I think they're the culmination of like a universe sort of 10 years in the making. And I know we're still going on with the MCU, and we've got like Black Widow coming out and stuff, but to me, Infinity War and Endgame feel like a sort of definitive end to that chapter of the MCU, and it feels like such an earned ending. Like, you talk about sort of season finales and stuff like that. This feels like that, and it feels like one that works. I remember seeing both of them in cinemas, and they were just such an event. And like, you get your critics and stuff that talk about how it's too fan servicey, and how there's like too many, like especially in Endgame, too many cameos, or it's too sort of big and stuff. But that's what it is. It's sort of tying together like all of these movies, and I think it does so incredibly well. I think both of them are great. I know I'm in the minority. I might prefer Infinity War to Endgame. I think it's just
I've heard a
more
people
entertaining movie. But
yeah, I can understand that. I'm more of an Endgame one, but I think you make like a good point with the critics, because there seems to be a lot of folk that are like, oh, if this movie didn't have any of the Avengers, would it be able to stand on its own as a movie? And I'm like, it doesn't need to. That you're
It's
missing the
not
point of
supposed
the
to. Yeah.
you're missing the point of the film if you think, oh, all like this movie should be able to stand on its own with like you took out all the characters like that we've grown up with.
I think in terms of like what the sort of Infinity Saga stands for, what these two films stand for, I feel like that'll be unprecedented. Because even down the line, if we get another sort of big, culmination event, it's not going to feel the same because we've had it. And we've talked about Fast 10 and 11 before, and they're shooting them back to back as sort of this big finale, and we compared it to Infinity War and Endgame. Like, I think going forward, everything, big sort of finales like that are going to be compared to Infinity War and Endgame, like, and rightfully so. It's people have been trying to recreate the cinematic universe formula for years and failing. Marvel did it right, and I think they really stuck the landing with both of these films.
Definitely, and I think I think you're right, and we will literally be going, I think, until I'm dead. I think we'll still be going, well, like, is it Avengers Infinity War? Is it? I can't see anything topping it. Like, what's going to come and top it? Avatar? We got Avatar 6 going to come and fuck up our Avengers and, like, top that as a cinematic
Fast 10 and 11.
Exactly. That's the only thing for me, but that I don't think that has as wide an audience and appeal as these films do. So it will be really interesting to see what they end up doing, and if anyone can top it. But yeah, I think these are the gold standard for finale event movies, and I don't think we'll see anything like it. I think the response from the audience, at least the one I saw with, and you were in the same audience as me, I think I don't know about you, but it's one of the only times in Endgame, the midnight showing of Endgame, was one of the only times.
No, I wasn't in your screening.
You were not there.
I was in the screening that broke.
The IMAX midnight showing of Endgame, it was one of the only times that the audience, I've been in the British audience that have clapped, and I've never had that before. Midway through the movie, they have clapped. There was a couple moments like when Captain America picks up Mjolnir for the first time. That was just utter applause, and I'd never experienced that before. Goosebumps. I get goosebumps thinking about it. I like goosebumps right now thinking about that, because it is one of my favorite moments ever, really. Yeah. And then another smaller weird one the audience seemed to love was the bit in Endgame where he does it's got almost a homage to the elevator scene from Winter Soldier, but he said instead of beating them all up, he just goes "Hail Hydra" and then walks out, and no one gives a shit, and it was magic. Yeah, so that's I think these kind of memories will live with me for a long time, and it seems kind of corny to say, but it is really it's going to stick with me. I think it's one of those ones that just sticks with you.
For me, it was, I went to see Infinity War in Glasgow at the midnight screening, in Super Screen, and it was sold out. And the Super Screen in Glasgow is huge, so I don't know how many people, like 100 or whatever, and this is Glasgow. Edinburgh and Glasgow have a bit of a rivalry, but it says Scotland on screen when they're in Edinburgh, and the crowd cheered, and then Thor's landing in Wakanda, literally, that was the whole Super Screen erupted into like applause, and that was like the one time that I witnessed it was in Infinity War. My Endgame experience was less than satisfying because I went to the midnight screening. I went to the double bill, and we saw Infinity War. We're ready. We're sat down for Endgame, hyped out our minds, and then the screen breaks, and we had to go home. And came back the next day and watched it. But technically memorable experiences for both.
Like I would have literally cried my eyes out. I don't think I would have been able to cope with that.
It was heartbreaking.
They would have had to given me like 100 comp tickets. There's not enough.
The worst part of it was I had done a Twitter blackout like a week before that, because I didn't want Endgame to be spoiled, and go to the midnight screening, it gets cancelled. I'm really annoyed. I'm like, well, I'm going to go vent on Twitter. Re-download Twitter, log in. First tweet I see is about Black Widow and Iron Man dying. First tweet I see.
Fucking hell.
I was absolutely fuming. Absolutely fuming. But, it doesn't change the fact that it is still such an experience. You know, I saw that film like so many times in cinemas. It's just such it's event cinemas. It's like blockbuster. Everyone goes, you enjoy it together. You know, it's the kind of film you want to see with a packed out screen.
For sure. So let's score the movies then, because we've not done a score for the overall film. So we'll just look at it as one big film, because we've just sort of talked about it as one big film. What are you thinking as a score for the overall movie?
You have to go 5 out of 5 for it. Like, it's just such an event and such an experience. Like, and you know, it's such an event watching them back to back. And like, anytime I watch both of them, anytime I watch Infinity War, I have to watch Endgame. Yeah. Immediately after, and anytime I do, I'm right back there in the cinema. I'm like right back with it and with those moments and those characters, and it's such it is a very sort of once in a lifetime experience, you know, the Infinity Saga. And I think you have to sort of, you know, I would give them 5 anyway, personally.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's 5 apiece really for me. I like, even if we were doing them individually, I would do 5 for each. They're some of my favorite films. I've rewatched. I was looking on it. I've rewatched Infinity War 7 times and Endgame 6 times. I have. It's
I think
a lot.
My numbers are probably quite high as well.
Yeah, it's a lot. I didn't realize how many times I actually had watched them. I think they're probably my most watched films of the last couple of years. So I would go 5. Easy 5 for me, I think. Yeah. Just because I am such a nerd fan.
6 for Infinity War, 5 for Endgame.
Fair enough then. So a pretty high number.
So a lot.
Yeah. What are you thinking for Vin? Because I know he's not in it a lot, so this is gonna I feel this is gonna drag the film down slightly in terms of.
This is gonna do what it did with the Guardians, isn't it? You have to sort of. I feel like I can't give it any higher of a rating than I can the Guardians film, because Groot's a bigger component of those, and you know, we're talking about the sort of Vin Diesel-ness of the character, and you can argue how much of Vin Diesel is it when it's teenage Groot and it's all modulated and stuff. Yeah. Hate to say it, 1 out of 5 for Vin-ness. Same as the Guardians, though.
Yeah, I was looking back there to see we gave Guardians of the Galaxy 1 a 2 for Vin, and we gave Guardians of the Galaxy 2 a 1. So I think it's only fair.
And I think the difference between the two was the fact that Vin was more Groot than Baby Groot, and I think he's more Groot than Teenage Groot as well. Like, I think there's still the thing sort of the modulation sort of holding him back from it.
This would be a 1.5 if we were doing, like, if we could do points, I think, because it is between them. But I'm curious. I really want to know what they'll do in Guardians. Where, like, is he going to be teen Groot in Guardians, or is he going to be a bit more older, young adult Groot or something? Yeah, I do miss Big Groot quite a bit, I have to say. So yeah, that gives it an overall score of 12 and sits it in the list. With some decent company. We can talk about that later on. So we'll talk about that in the review section. Let's move on to the next movie. We're talking about Bloodshot, directed by David Wilson from 2020. This was one of the last films that made it into cinemas just before the pandemic hit. I know it was your last film in the cinema, wasn't it? It was just before.
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was the last thing I saw. The day they decided to close, I went out and saw it.
This is my first time watching. I had to rent the Blu-ray from
boy.
It's to be fair, it's a really great 4K disc. But could you tell me what happens in this movie, because it's pretty strange.
Yeah, so Vin Diesel plays Ray Garrison, who's an elite soldier that's killed sort of in battle. His wife is shot dead, and then he's shot dead, but he's brought back to life sort of using an advanced technology that gives him not only superhuman strength, but sort of fast healing. They basically put technology in his blood that repairs damaged tissue. And so with his new abilities, he goes after the man that kills his wife. Or so he believes is the person that kills his wife, because then he comes to learn that there are things being kept from him, and maybe he's not got the sort of free will that he thinks he does, and maybe the company that put technology in him are manipulating him.
This movie, I have to say, I don't know if it was kept in a vault. I don't know. It felt like it was made in 2003 and then just was released. And and I see some people on Letterboxd that agreed with me. Like it was, I think one of the top reviews is it feels like a movie from before they cared about comic book characters, and I feel that's pretty spot on. It feels very much that of that era, where they're using more obscure characters. And this is based on a property. It's based on the Valiant Comics character. And I think they were planning to do some more stuff with this character. I doubt we'll do it now, but
because it tanked because of COVID.
Oh yeah, it tanked because of COVID. I think to be fair, I think it would have tanked anyway. It's one of those interesting ones where I feel like how much star power does Vin have to get bums on seats when it's not in Fast and Furious, and how much is it the franchise that people love about Fast and Furious, or is it Vin that people love about Fast and Furious? And that's one of the interesting sort of if you look at the original films Vin has done, like Last Witch Hunter, they've all sort of tanked, really. You know what I mean? When he's still part of Fast and Furious. So it's one of those interesting ones where it's like, can he save these movies? And the answer seems to be no. He doesn't seem to have that. So I will be interested to see what his career path he takes once he finishes with Fast. As a film, though, I think it is really shoddily made, just really quite boring. There's a couple good action sequences, I have to say. The initial one where it's all red and there's loads of slow motion and dust, I watched that, and I don't want to gush about my 4K screen or whatever, but I was really...
gush about it.
It was so crisp. Like, it was just... You could see every, like, fine little speck of it, and it was just all, like, zooming around, and the red was... The colour, like, red was really lovely with the way it, like, reflects off everything. It was like I would keep the disc about to show people that particular scene just to show off my telly. That's how good it was,
scene.
I thought.
It's a good scene.
It was a really good scene.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think about the film?
I like it up until that sequence. I think the sort of setup's all very interesting. It's because it takes itself seriously. And because essentially, you know, this character is going through a lot, and then, you know, he's finding out. I sort of like the scenes where he's learning about his powers. Like there's a scene where he's just, you know, beating a wall to an absolute pulp, and then you get that sequence, and I think it's all really strong up until that point, and then it just takes a complete left turn, and the tone just changes so massively. Like then they bring in this character who becomes a very important character, but he's comedic relief, except it's really cringeworthy comedy, and the tone just completely changes, and then it becomes it becomes that 2003 comic book film you're talking about. Really bad CGI, really over the top action, really crap comedy, and at that point it just loses me. It just loses me after sort of 20 minutes in, half an hour in.
I even think the serious stuff was sort of meh. I think it was, some of it was laughable, especially the way Toby Kebbell's his character's introduced. I think it is quite...
I quite like that sequence. I don't know. I quite like Toby Kebbell enough to... He pulls it off for me.
Yeah, maybe. It's just... I think the serious stuff isn't as strong, and I think the action stuff, bar that one sequence, I think, where he's first initially using his powers, because I really like the visual element of the blood really cool, and the way it comes off. Like he gets shotgunned in the face, and it's like half of his face gets blown off, and it's sort of like slow motion comes back into his face as he shoots the guy. I think that's really well done. I think that's like the only well done action sequence in the film. I think that's the only one they really thought about. Because then you get shit like that elevator sequence where the guy with the spider claws or whatever is just falling down in this really shoddily done CGI setup. It was just
it's just there's not enough you can do with this character, I feel like, or certainly they don't do enough with it, because it's a cool concept, and you have to give them credit. The comic book potential is really interesting for this world. They just don't And I was saying to you just before we started, Chad Stahelski and David Leitch, who obviously did John Wick, they were tapped to direct, and I think they could have done something so interesting, like visually with the action and this concept. But it's I have to say, I think Dave Wilson's partly to blame for this. It's his feature debut, and I was gonna say, what do you think of Vin in Bloodshot?
I think. Yeah, I think he is the archetypal Vin character in some ways. I think the love for his wife, and doing anything to save her, like that's kind of his whole thing. That's even more. It's part of his. It's not even just part of his personality. It's part of who he is as an actual physical person, because there's elements in the film that kind of reveal that is his sort of instinct, is to protect his family, and he always comes home, as he says, and he's always going to try and get revenge for his wife and stuff. And I think that's the most Vin could be. I think his performance is pretty okay. I wouldn't put it up there with any of the great Vin performances, but it's for the character.
He does the job. He does the job.
He comes in, he does what Vin's supposed to do, and gets the paycheck. I think does what he needs to do.
100%. And I say it time and time again. I think this is especially the case because you do have a fairly star-studded cast in some regards. I think Vin is the strongest aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I think he brings a sort of just his presence, his screen presence is like, it's charismatic enough to watch, because like aside from maybe Triple X and like Return of Xander Cage and A Man Apart, even his like lesser movies, I've never been like I want to turn it off purely because I'll like keep watching for Vin.
Yeah.
And I think he's got just even sort of his bad movies like Bloodshot. I think he still has a presence that can make you sort of stick it out. I think.
I think the only one is probably The Return of Xander Cage, that he does not seem to have the charisma he thinks he has for that kind of role. I think he
overdoes it in that one. Yeah,
he really overdoes it. Whereas this one is this kind of right level of charismatic Vin, serious Vin. I think there's a lot to be said about Vin's performance in this one, but it isn't as solid, I think, as like Strays or Saving Private Ryan, where he is. I think he's incredible in both those movies, and even Iron Giant and stuff like that, where he does a lot. Yeah, so do you want to just move on to scoring? What are you thinking about for overall movie?
Let's do it. Overall movie, I'm going to give it a 2. Like, I don't completely hate it. I think there's aspects of it that I enjoy. There's a lot of potential. It is watchable. It's boring, but, you can sort of sit there and have it on in the background. So I would give it 2.
Yeah, I would say the same. I watched it in bed last night. I found myself going on my phone a couple of times when some of the more boring stuff was happening. It did sort of semi-pique my interest at certain points. I just felt there's a lot of comic book characters out there that I feel deserve a good thing, and I don't know if Bloodshot is one of them. But
one of them,
I think maybe in the future, I know Valiant have a lot of comic characters, and I know there has been some attempts to do a cinematic universe of sorts, but all the characters are off in different directions. So maybe one day Bloodshot will get his day, but I don't know if this is. I don't think this is the jumping off point for me.
And in terms of Vin,
I would give it 2. Yeah, and Vin, I'm gonna go 3 actually, because I think that is a really solid place to put him. I think he's got the elements of the Vin that we want, and I have to say, I think that's kind of where he'd sit, sort of 10 situation. So sorry, a 5, 3 situation.
I agree with that. I would give him a 3 out of 5. Yeah.
Lovely. So that gives it a 10 out of 20. So it sits it on the lower end of the spectrum. We can talk about more about that actually coming up in the next segment. So let's just move on to the rankings. So we're on to rankings now. Lots to go through.
We're gonna completely dismantle in a future episode as well. By the way,
it's getting completely dismantled. So let me just.
We just started with it, so now we have to stick with it.
So at number 1 we still have Fast 5, number 2 Furious 7, Strays at number 3, number 4 Saving Private Ryan, number 5 The Fast and the Furious. That's the first Fast and Furious. Triple X 1 is at number 6, Furious 6 is at number 7. Chronicles of Riddick is sitting at number 8. 9 is not Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. What the fuck? How did that get there? 10 is Boiler Room. So here we go. Avengers has Avengers has a 12 out of 20. So it got the same ranking as number 11, which is Guardians, number 12, which is Witch Hunter, number 13, which is Fast and Furious 8. Where do you think you want to set it? Do you want to set it between Fast 8 and Witch Hunter, below all of them, above Guardians, between Guardians and Witch Hunter? What are you thinking?
I think above Guardians, because
the
reason we put Guardians above those other two was just because we thought it was a better film. And I think if then we're talking in terms of that, I feel like maybe for the same reason I would put it above.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think Avengers Endgame and are stronger movies than Guardians 1. I think in that kind of case, I think we could just sort of, even though Vin's performance is a lot better in Guardians, he's got more to do, which, to be fair, it's not. It's a smaller movie, so that makes more sense. So, so that's our new number 11, number 12, Guardians, number 13, Witch Hunter, number 14 is Fast and Furious 8, number 15 is Guardians 2, number 16 is Fast and Furious number 4, number 17 is The Pacifier. So here comes another decision for you. Bloodshot has a 10 out of 20. So at number 18 is The Iron Giant, number 19 is Riddick, and number 20 is Babylon. Do you want it, and I'm assuming, I don't think it's as bad as Babylon, so I'm assuming, do you want it between Riddick and Babylon, between Iron Giant and Riddick, or do you want it above Iron Giant?
Between Riddick and Babylon, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, because Riddick is pretty pants, but a bit better, I think, a bit more watchable than Bloodshot, and Babylon is just no thank you. I don't even know how that thing's got a 10.
I like Babylon.
That's why you have a 10. That's why it's got a 10, actually, because you like Babylon.
Babylon's good.
Yeah, so Bloodshot is our new number 20. So then we go to 21, Babylon, 22, Pitch Black, 23, Knocker on Guys, 24, Find Me Guilty, 25, A Man Apart, and Triple X, number 3, is our final film on the list. And with that, we have done it, Awais. We have finished the list. We've made it to the end. Congratulations, we've done it.
Wow, that's amazing.
We've made it to the end of all the Vin Diesel movies.
I can't believe that. I actually can't believe it. That's mad. So just to clarify, we've got a Fast 9 episode next week. And then the week after that, we're going to sort of do a ranking episode where I think we're planning on scrapping. We're maybe going to sort of, rehaul this list, but we're going to give our own lists. Because I think we've both been keeping our own lists of just generally like the movies we've preferred. I think we're gonna discuss that.
I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to sort of just
including
F9
in the mix, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think we'll talk about what our favourite Vin performances, our favourite movies overall, and just sort of just dismantle this list completely. Yeah. Maybe I'll keep it saved in the document for prosperity. We can go back one day and look and look at us. We thought Fast 5 was better than Fast and Furious 11. Can you imagine?
Can't believe Iron Giant is that low.
Iron Giant.
Strays, it's strange.
It's crazy, but the fact that Strays, looking back, Strays was in the first episode. It's his first ever movie. It's his directorial debut of a feature film.
Oh yeah.
The fact that stayed at number 1 for as long as it did surprised me. It really did. Yeah. Especially for a film we hadn't seen before, and it was a really solid first episode, especially with Saving Private Ryan in the mix as well.
Yeah.
But fast forwarding. I don't know what's going on in my voice. Fast forwarding to now. We're coming up on one of Vin's biggest movies to date, I think. Fast 9 is probably one of, I would imagine, setting up for the future, and it's sort of winding down the Fast franchise. We're getting towards the end of that now. What are you hoping for? What are you hoping to see? Because I know we've got some expectations for Fast 9.
Yeah, it's crazy that it's so close. It's about a week away at the time of recording this, which is so exciting to think about the fact that it's been delayed for over a year and it's finally coming out. I'm excited for it. I just want a sort of good time at the movies, I want the dumb action. I want the sort of melodramatic, like soap opera, narrative, which I think we're going to get. We were talking about it. I hope we get sort of young Dom flashbacks.
If we don't have a de-aged Vin Diesel, I think we've done something wrong. I think something's gone horribly wrong if there's not a de-aged Vin Diesel there.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, so I was watching Tokyo Drift last night, and you know what? They've done like a really good job of, considering at the time that was very separate from the franchise, they've done a really good job of tying it into the franchise now, like quite seamlessly, in between sort of Fast 6 and Fast 7. I hope that with the introduction of Dom's brother, who hasn't been mentioned up until this point, I hope they do it in a way that feels seamless, and that explains why we haven't heard of him up until now. I think.
Well, yeah, I think your theory's right. I don't know if you remember your own theory, but remember, the Fast and the Furious. They always talk about the guy who Dom basically just fucked up with a wrench.
Basically, he's wanted for. His biggest crime at the time was he like half killed a guy with a socket wrench. He had beat a guy almost to death. And I was saying to Cameron that I think a sort of good way to explain Jacob's absence would be if Jacob was the guy that he almost beat to death with a socket wrench, because it was something that Vin Diesel said about how this film is going to recontextualize the first film. And it's going to tie in most to the Fast and the Furious. Which got me sort of thinking about that. Do you want to quickly mention the Vin news?
Oh yeah, the Vin news. We've got a little bit of Vin news to talk about. He has basically confirmed himself, because after the shit show that was the Fast,
basically killed himself. Yes, I agree.
What?
Basically killed himself. Yes.
Yeah, he has. The shit show that was the Fast junket has just happened, in which we have given people who don't know what a non-disclosure agreement is the chance to speak openly about their future project. Vin came out and basically was like, yeah, I can't wait. You need to, if you're talking to Kevin Feige, make sure you ask him about Planet X and stuff. And and people were like, oh, like, is this just a random like a code name for the planet so Vin doesn't leak it? And then everyone's like, no, Planet X is Vin's homeworld. Is
Groot's homeworld, yeah.
So more and more of this plot for Guardians is going to leak via Vin Diesel, I think, if we're not careful. Yeah. So we have to. And
then he ended up. Josh Horowitz was asking him about a rumor that he had heard where he was possibly going to be in the Avatar sequels, and Vin pretty much confirmed that. He's not in Avatar 2.
Yeah.
He's not in Avatar 2, it seems like, but he's going to be. Basically, he was like, we haven't filmed anything yet, so Avatar 3 onwards.
Have they wrapped
Avatar 2? They've wrapped Avatar 2. I think they're still working on the others.
I think they're just going to continuously shoot those movies until the end of time, I think.
Yeah.
At this point.
So Vin Diesel has also confirmed himself in Avatar.
Fair enough.
I think he could be great as a Na'vi.
Yeah, exactly. I think he'll be a great Marine, I'd imagine. I doubt.
Oh, yeah, true, yeah.
Although, would he? Would you think we're going to see a blue Vin? Do you think we'll get a blue
Vin? I want to see a blue Vin. I don't want to see a white Vin.
I don't want to see a Marine Vin anymore. I want to see blue Vin. I want to see a bloody Na'vi. Oh! I want to see
Baby
a Na'vi.
Can you imagine?
It looks like...
with his muscles and everything. Oh,
yeah.
Dude, that would be so good.
Please.
Give him the hair with the tentacle.
Yes. The tail. Give him the tails. Give them the tails. That's what we want.
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait for Avatar 2 to come out so I can finally buy myself an Avatar tail. Can't wait.
Exactly.
We're running over slightly now, so we'll have to wrap it up here. We'll see you next week. The same time next week. This time next week, we'll have a Fast and Furious 9, the Fast Saga review on this channel. So please subscribe for that. I'm very excited. I don't know if you can tell. I'm very excited.
So excited.
Yeah, IMAX day one for me. You're a lucky bastard. You're heading to the screen, early screen beforehand, but you're not going to spoil it for me because you're not a dickhead.
No, of course not.
I've been Cameron. You can find me. Oh, I know you will. I've been Cameron. You can find me on Twitter at CamzoOG or ohighfilms.com. I do another podcast called Flores and the Giant, which I do with Jordy Steele. It's about just kind of nerdy topics and whatever me and Jordy feel like discussing that day. It's just quite a loose show, loosey goosey, and then we kind of talk about stuff that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. Where can the people find you, Awais? What's happening with you?
You can find me on Twitter at Awais, or on the Film Bite, www.thefilmbite.com. I have finally reviewed Tokyo Drift. You'll be happy to know. Finally. So now we're doing one a day until the release of F9, which is a lot of work for me. But
that's a lot of work.
So we'll see how well I stick to that. But yeah, that's the plan.
Fair enough. Yeah. So next week is Fast 9. So we'll see you all then. So yeah. See you later.
Goodbye.